Elena is 38. She is a successful architect. She is also, by her own careful accounting, someone who has ended 3 relationships she describes as the most significant of her adult life. The first ended when she was 26. The second when she was 31. The third last year. Each of the 3 men, when she describes them, sounds like a version of the same person. Sensitive, brilliant, emotionally unavailable in a way she found, at first, fascinating. Each relationship followed the same intense beginning. A period she describes as finally feeling understood, then a slow deterioration she could never quite explain. Jung had a word for what was happening, and understanding that word changes what Elena does next. The pattern in Elena's relationships is not a failure of character. It is not a product of bad luck. It is not even, strictly speaking, a product of conscious choice. What Elena has been doing in each relationship, in Jungian terms, is projecting. She has been casting onto each of these men an interior figure that Jung called the animus. And what makes the projection both compelling and ultimately unsustainable is that the figure she projects is not a description of the man. It is a description of herself. This video explores ideas from depth psychology for reflection, not as therapy. If you are working through difficult material, a qualified analyst or therapist can help in ways a video cannot. Elena, the case in this video, is hypothetical, constructed to illustrate how Jung's framework applies to a pattern that appears frequently in the analytic literature. Jung introduced the concept of the anima, and its counterpart in women, the animus, across several volumes of the collected works, developing it most fully in the essays collected in the 2 volumes on archetypes. The concept has a precise definition, which is routinely stripped of its precision in popular psychology. Let us restore it. In the first volume of the Archetype series, Jung wrote a definition that begins with a careful disclaimer. 11 words that clear the ground. The anima, in Jung's framing, is not a metaphysical soul. It is a psychological structure. Specifically, it is the personification of feminine qualities in the male psyche, formed through the individual's experience of women, mother, sisters, partners, and through a deeper layer Jung believed was archetypal, common to all men across cultures and historical periods. The animus is the corresponding structure in women, a personification of masculine qualities that operates, largely unconsciously, as an interior masculine figure. The critical point, the one that distinguishes Jung's concept from simple gender essentialism, is that the anima and animus are interior structures. They are not claims about how men or women actually are. They are claims about how the psyche organizes its own unconscious contents. The animus in Elena's psyche is not a description of men. It is a description of qualities in Elena that she has not yet integrated into her conscious identity. What qualities? This is where the case becomes specific. Elena is an architect. Her professional identity is precise, disciplined, rigorous. She is, in her own words, someone who does not deal in ambiguity. The men she has chosen have been, in striking contrast, writers, musicians. One was a philosophy lecturer. Sensitive in the ways she is not. Comfortable with uncertainty in the ways she is not. Expressive about interior states in the ways she is not. In the second volume of his essays on relations between the ego and the unconscious, Jung described projection as an unconscious process of casting an interior content outward, perceiving it as a property of an external object rather than of the self. This is not a pathological process. Projection is a normal function of the unconscious. It becomes a problem when the projections are not recognized as projections. When Elena meets a man who carries the projected animus, she does not experience herself as projecting. She experiences herself as recognizing. She has the sensation that she finally sees someone who understands her at depth, that the connection is unlike anything she has experienced before, that he is the one. This sensation is real. The intensity of animus projection is one of the most compelling experiences the human psyche produces. It is not a delusion. It is a meeting, but the meeting is not entirely with the man. It is with a part of herself. James Hollis, writing in his analysis of relationships through a Jungian lens, describes the animus projection in women as the inner masculine, seeking recognition through the outer man. The man does not have to be the interior figure. He only has to resemble it closely enough to trigger the projection. And for Elena, each of the three men resembled her unintegrated animus closely enough. Expressive, comfortable with ambiguity, capable of an emotional openness she had disowned in herself in the process of becoming precise and reliable. The arc of each relationship follows the logic of the projection. In the beginning, the man carries the animus perfectly. He is not a person yet. He is a vessel for Elena's interior life. She experiences him as completing her. In the middle phase, the man begins to fail the projection. He has an ordinary Tuesday. He is tired. He disagrees with her. He has needs she did not anticipate because she was not, in the beginning, relating to his needs. She was relating to the animus she had placed on him. In the late phase, the projection destabilizes. The man is manifestly not the interior figure. Elena experiences this as disappointment, as betrayal, in some cases, as evidence that the relationship was wrong, that he was not who she thought he was. This analysis is partially accurate. He is not who she thought he was. But the fuller analysis is that he was never the person she was relating to in the first phase. That person was interior, and she has not yet met him. Jung, in his clinical observations, noted that the withdrawal of projection is one of the most psychologically demanding tasks of adult life. The demand is this: the qualities that were projected outward must now be acknowledged as interior qualities that require development. For Elena, that means acknowledging that the sensitivity, the comfort with ambiguity, the expressiveness, the capacity for emotional openness that she found so compelling in each of these men. These are not qualities the right man will provide. These are qualities Elena needs to develop in herself. The animus is pointing inward. Consider what this means beyond Elena's case. The animus projection is not exclusively a relationship phenomenon. It appears in the way a person relates to any figure who carries the projected content. A mentor who is subsequently disillusioned, a therapist invested with impossible qualities, a public figure who triggers an intensity of response disproportionate to what is actually known about them. The tell is always the same, a response whose intensity exceeds what the real person, with their real limitations, could account for. The animus, in the psychological typology Elena represents, carries several qualities she disowned during the process of becoming a rigorous professional. The capacity for not knowing, the willingness to sit with ambiguity without resolving it, the expressive vocabulary for interior states, the creative practice that has no output logic. Elena is precise because precision was rewarded. What precision required her to set aside is what appears, reliably, in the men she chooses. This is not a prescription. It is not a suggestion that Elena should become less precise. The persona that built her architecture practice serves a genuine function. The Jungian analysis asks something different. It asks, what would it mean for Elena to have a relationship with the qualities she has been projecting? Not to become her animus, to integrate it, to acknowledge the interior masculine figure as interior, and to enter into a conversation with it. 3 questions for those who recognize something of Elena's pattern. First, in your most significant relationships, what quality in the other person has triggered the most intense initial response? Where is that quality in yourself, and in what form has it been disowned? Second, when a relationship disappointed you, when the person failed to be who you thought they were, what specifically did they fail to be? This is not a question about their shortcomings. It is a question about what interior figure they were carrying for you and no longer could. Third, what would it require for the qualities you have been projecting to exist in you, without needing a person to carry them? This question has no quick answer. It is the work Jung called individuation, and it does not begin until the projection is recognized as a projection. Elena, in the months after the third relationship ended, did what many people do. She analyzed the men. She considered what they had in common. She developed a more careful framework for choosing partners. None of this is wrong. What it leaves out is the animus. What it leaves out is the question of what she was projecting and why. and what the projection reveals about the development work that is still ahead of her. The pattern will continue until that question is addressed. Before we close, this video is educational content exploring Jungian psychology. It is not therapy and not a substitute for professional mental health support. The questions above are prompts for reflection, not for self-diagnosis. If you recognize Elena's pattern in your own experience, working with a depth-oriented analyst offers something a video cannot: sustained engagement with your specific material, with someone trained to work with projection and unconscious content. Below this video is a link to 5 questions for beginning shadow work, the related process of examining what the persona has disowned. If this kind of inquiry matters to you, subscribe. We publish one essay each Sunday. This is educational content exploring Jungian psychology. It is not a substitute for professional mental health support. If you are struggling, please seek qualified help.